Hey guys, welcome back to 90 Feet From Home. I'm your host Ashley, and last time I did an advanced stats video, I lied and said it would be fast, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. We are getting into a different kind of advanced statistic today, and we are going to talk about weighted stolen bases, or wSB. Now, in a previous video, I did talk about stolen bases in defensive indifference. I'm going to link that one up above if you want a rough idea of what stolen bases are, why they're important, how they help a team. But of course, this being baseball, we have to have an advanced statistic for everything. And what weighted stolen bases does is it tries to look at the overall contribution a player makes to their team by either completing or not completing stolen base attempts. So basically, weighted stolen bases tries to estimate the number of runs a player has contributed to their team via stolen bases compared to the average player. Now, with everything else, like we're looking at, unless you're looking at a, WRC plus or any of those plus ones where 100 is the average, 0 would be considered the average for something like a weighted stolen base. And so you're looking at a value of usually -6 to about a +6 for something like a weighted stolen base. You're not going to get a huge number of runs a year contributed via the stolen base or lost, but that's usually about the scale you're looking at, where something like a +5 or a +6 is considered really remarkable, where a -5 or -6 is somebody who is kind of damaging your team via the base run and should probably stop trying to steal bases. So I'm going to throw up the calculation from Fangraphs for calculating weighted stolen bases down below. It's a bit of a big one, but there's also not a ton of stuff in it that is confusing or beyond our realm of understanding. There's no league average, there's every number here you should understand, with the exception of one, which I'm going to explain to you in a second. And that term is league stolen base run, which is shown in the calculation as LGWSB, league weighted stolen bases. So I know once you break it down, it's a lot of letters, but it is actually something that's pretty easy to understand. And there's actually a separate calculation for figuring out what the average of the league's weighted stolen bases are, and I'm going to throw that up now so you can kind of get a sense for that. You'll notice two kind of unusual numbers or letter sets in there, so I'm going to explain those to you really quickly as well. One is run SB and one is run CS. And those are considered the run values across the league of stolen bases and caught stealing. And in all seasons, the run value for stolen bases is set at a 0.2, whereas the overall league caught stealing actually changes from season to season based on the outcomes over the course of that year. And again, I'm going to explain another one. Here is run CS as a calculation. There's so much math, guys. I'm sorry. Advanced statistics are the worst if you hate math. And this one gets simplified too, as runs per out is calculated pretty simply, and it's just the number of runs per season divided by the number of outs per season. I know. So now that we're past the math, let's just kind of explain a little bit more what wSB actually reflects. If you successfully steal a base, you're contributing positively to your team. Whereas if you regularly get caught stealing, you are contributing negatively to your team's run total or potential runs scored. But what wSB kind of factors in is that it's not a 1-for-1. If you successfully steal a base, but then get caught the same number of times, it doesn't balance out to a 0. And basically, this is because the value of advancing on a stolen base is actually less valuable than the negative outcome of being caught stealing. If you successfully steal 10 times, you'll have 10 positive results, but because getting caught stealing the same number of times has a higher negative value, you've actually cost your team runs even though the same number of events have taken place. wSB adds a weighted value for those stolen bases and caught stealing events, which then gives us an idea of whether or not that base runner is actually adding overall value via their stolen bases or losing their team runs. The entire goal of this is to determine whether or not that player is actually adding overall value via successful base steals or taking away value via being caught stealing. And this is compared to league averages as to how many times players steal or get caught stealing, and so on and so forth, and then compares that individual player to the overall league averages. In an ideal world, if a player wants to add value to their team, they will successfully steal bases twice as often as they get caught stealing, as opposed to a 1-for-1. So a player who successfully steals 20 out of 20 bases is going to be considered more valuable to their team than a player who perhaps steals 40 bases, but also gets caught stealing 23 times. So that's kind of the good rule of thumb to work on. If a player on your team is successfully able to steal a base twice as often as they get caught, they're adding overall value to their team. And that, guys, is weighted stolen bases in a nutshell. So I hope that explains it a little better. It was actually a bit on the shorter side as far as the advanced statistics go, and it's actually not that complicated a statistic when you break it all down. So if you liked it, give it a big thumbs up down below. Remember to hit that subscribe button while you're down there and ring the bell if you want to be notified every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday when a new episode goes live. And of course, as always, you can follow me on social media where I'm at 90 Feet From Home on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, you guys, have an awesome day. Bye!